Joe Mullings from 160 Studios in Delray Beach, and today I've got a guest who we go back a couple years, and last time we saw each other was in Israel, in Tel Aviv. Berk Tas from Centiar. Berk, welcome to studio.
Thank you so much, Joe. Good to see you again.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. You flew in from beautiful, balmy Twin Cities today.
In a snowstorm, man, if you can believe it. Yeah, good times.
You were talking about, and you're a transplant, spent a couple years in Puerto Rico too.
I have, yep. I have spent a couple years in England as well.
Yeah.
I grew up in Turkey. So of all the places I've been, Minnesota tops the worst weather, hands down.
Where in Turkey?
Ankara. That's where I grew up. Yeah.
I was a kid in industry. I was in Ankara and Eskişehir.
Is that right?
Yeah, I spent time in Ankara, then out in Eskişehir on a military base out there.
Sure.
So I fell in love with Turkey. It was a different Turkey when I was there. I was there in '86-ish.
Yeah,
so it was a different country.
Very different.
Yeah.
You were there right after the coup.
Yeah, right after.
Right
Yes,
after.
right after.
Yeah.
So Centiar, let's first of all cover your background.
Sure.
You double E,
Doubly.
right?
Correct.
And then MBA,
MBA.
right? And then
Yes.
Boston Sci, structural heart, right?
Heart
And then
failure.
Heart failure.
Yeah.
And now you're in the interventional EP business.
Correct.
But you also made a big jump on the tech side because Centiar is not a slouch in tech.
Absolutely. We're very excited about that, Joe.
Yeah, tell me about it. Share it with our audience.
So, compared to all the things I've been involved with, the Centiar technology and what we're trying to put together here can reshape how procedures are done, any interventional procedure, 5, 10, 15 years from now. And oftentimes, I feel like we traveled to the future and we've watched what's going on. Now we came back and we're trying to create that. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of the power of the mission, what we're trying to do. And it's very exciting. When I was in structural heart, we were making a transaortic valve replacement. Now that was done 20 years ago. Still a lot to innovate. Patients need a lot of help. But that's a different paradigm compared to what Centiar is doing. Same with cardiac rhythm management. When I was at Boston Scientific, we were working on new leads. Needed innovation, important innovation, but lead technology has been around 20, 25 years. Mm-hmm. Same thing with heart failure, although we had a very unique product that we were very excited about. The paradigm shift isn't just there. This is like the first interventional procedure ever. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of scale in our vision, what we're excited about.
Yeah. And when we were in Israel, it was really interesting because what's great about the ICI conference is there usually really is cutting edge technology. The conference is coming up again, I think in the next 30, 45 days. Right. And there's always a digital day that the Israelis put on. That's cool. And there was a lot of interest. First of all, love your founder.
Yes, she is.
She's an EP,
yes,
right?
Yep.
Right?
Dr. Silva is really one of the top-notch people all around. Innovator, down to earth, super charismatic, just all around. It's hard to find fault in someone like that. It's
she
wonderful.
Sat there in the lobby with me and took me
That's
through
right.
the headset, and I'm a tech geek,
Yes.
but also a pragmatist. And I sat there with you and Dr. Silva, and the passion and the intention behind the tech was super cool. Mm-hmm. Let's cut into the tech. Maybe you can describe Marco, if you can roll it for us, you can describe the system for us so we have some context.
Sure,
and then we can go into some detail.
So the new paradigm we're talking about is a wearable command center, where a physician, once in the Centiar platform, is able to interact with everything in their environment in a hands-free fashion. So what you're seeing here is the physician placing an interface anywhere in their space, comparing contrast that to a monitor, which is fixed. And once it's anchored, in this particular application, the holographic interface is anchored. So you can go around it, you can cut inside it, which is an unprecedented way to interact with a 3D model. This will be updating in real time, which is another absolutely unique aspect of this. You can share this real-time updating model with several people in the room. Everyone having their own perspective, being able to point at things, collaborate, teach, etc. The minute adjustments are done on our patented interface, where in a hands-free, once again, it's tracking the head motion of the physician. so the physician can have their hands on the catheter. Some other menu selections for this particular application, which is in electrophysiology. Select views, zooming in, zooming out. Again, you can't do that in a monitor, especially a physician by themselves, because they have no control over it today. Some other settings and important aspects of just being able to use the system on a day-to-day basis.
So the wearable headset is, it's always interesting. I see some tech come onto the market where clearly there's a need looking for a technology, and then sometimes there's a technology looking for a need.
Right.
Where would you fit in that continuum?
So first of all, it 100% fits into need, looking for a technology. And the need, the way we describe the need, is bigger than just electrophysiology. So what's going on in all interventional procedures is there's tons of technology being introduced. Monitoring this, imaging that, because you can't see in an interventional procedure, you have no direct visualization. And all this technology is being introduced, and physicians still have zero way to connect to them. In a procedure, physician has no way to connect to any of the tools that's in their environment. No imaging, no monitoring, no recording device. None of it connects to the physician. So the big need here is physician needs to have control over their digital tools while they're operating on the patient, which is a very unique need. Mm-hmm. It's not just about seeing things in 3D or AR or cool immersive experience. It's all of those, but the big need is that they need control, they need context of information that's flowing in front of them. You know, example, electrogram information in an electrophysiology case. It's flowing in front of them, and they have to contextualize it themselves. You know, we can do a quick exercise here, mm-hmm. just to illustrate this problem. So let's pretend like we're meeting for the first time.
Right.
Hey, Joe, nice to meet you.
Berk, same.
What do you do?
Depends. What day is it? What time is it? But I'm a headhunter, and I'm a media guy, and I love to interview people around their technology.
So what you did here, none of these systems do, right? Mm-hmm. An electrogram recording system, for example, just we keep pulling that thread, it just spews information out. Headhunter, recording, perhaps father, martial arts training, it will just say stuff. Mm-hmm. Push-ups, right? Maybe you did push-ups today.
I did.
Right? So there's no context. Mm-hmm. But that's not how we interact. Right. Humans don't work that way. And there's a good reason for that. It's not effective. Mm-hmm. So what's going on in interventional procedures is there's so much of this data. We just create a very, very simple example that is so second nature to us. And then when we talk about it in interventional procedures, a lot of the community is like, oh my God, AI, it's never going to work. Well, it's what we do every day. Mm-hmm. This is just what happens. Mm-hmm. This is how we communicate. So we should expect that from this field as well. And it's possible. So that's just one example. Obviously, what we do currently is creating a 3D object, which is already 3D to begin with. Image has been captured in 3D. But in this particular example, there was context, but the current inability in the ecosystem removes that context. It was 3D, mm-hmm. but it was being pushed onto 2D mm-hmm. monitors. Mm-hmm. So that's the big need, looking for how do you connect a physician to their environment. There's not a lot of good ways to give them control today, mm-hmm. right? People talk about, wearable, why do I have to put something on their head? Now they have control, that's why, right? That
headset also, out of all the headsets I've put on many headsets in a health tech environment, was really light, mm-hmm. Super comfortable, and didn't shut me out.
Yeah, so Microsoft, who makes the headset, has done a fantastic job mm-hmm. from the hardware perspective. And part of the reason why this is the right time for what we're doing is hardware caught up. Back in the day when this whole thing started 15 years ago or so, VR headsets maybe cost $15,000, $20,000, and it was VR. So this allows you to see, it's a mixed reality, it's mm-hmm. called. You can see your real world.
Right.
The hardware technology caught up. So now it's upon us to fix this issue for the physicians and ultimately for the patients. Mm-hmm. Because our physicians don't need to fly blind. They don't need to make sense of information that we can do for them. Yeah. They don't need to develop these skills to manage technology when technology can replace that skill. And now they can focus on the patient.
Does it change workflow at all, other than enhance the information they're getting? So in other words, one of the biggest challenges with a lot of tech is I've got to come in and change workflow either with the team mm-hmm. or with the clinician and patient.
So the first product we've developed, and now this is FDA cleared and on the market, it is probably the lowest amount of change that I can imagine being introduced into the operating room. And the reason is it creates such an intuitive experience the physician and everybody else expects to have. Mm-hmm. Right? 3D object. Move it around by looking at different parts of it. I look at different parts of stuff all the time anyway. Mm-hmm. Now there's nuance in how we developed it. That's why we patented it. So there's nuance on why it's so pleasant and intuitive. But ultimately, it's very low in the first product we developed. The other products we're working on, that's the magic, right? It can't be intrusive. And our objective is to lower the cognitive load, allow them to contextualize information easier. Mm-hmm. You can't do that by making it harder, mm-hmm. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. How about collaboration? So you're starting to see, you saw it first with InTouch, which was picked up by Livongo, and then Teladoc. Avail Med Systems just raised $100 million. Mm-hmm. You've got Proximy, that is another fantastic platform out of the UK.
Right.
And so they're talking about the ability to have a partner or an expert from Germany be able to dial in and have the same experience. As I look at the Centiar platform, is it possible for Dr. Smith to drop on her headset in Germany and then lock and load in the Twin Cities with a doc that's in the middle of an interesting, especially an EP, where mm-hmm. there's a little black magic mm-hmm. involved in making decisions. Right. Is that available now, or is that in the works?
It's not available on the commercially available platform, mm-hmm. but it is in the works. Mm-hmm. We have, so one of the unique things, again, of our platform is we developed it from ground up, end to end, Centiar software stack. So that's geek talk for everything is ours, right? So we built it for some of these particular use cases, able to handle large amounts of data, able to push data out into the cloud to several folks at the same time, viewing real-time developing model, mm-hmm. which is a very unique application, being able to see it in a 3D environment. So yes, you can do that, able to do that, but it's not available right now to the public. But it will come. That's one of the features that we're working on.
You attacked EP first, obviously, because it's Dr. Silva's sweet spot. Mm-hmm. How does this fit into interventional cardiology, peripheral, neuro, or anything else that has that type of application?
That's thank you, Joe. As if you know something about what we're doing. So the next applications we're working on are targeting and other localization-related issues, i.e., for the layperson, navigation-related. You're trying to put something in the body, and you want to be accurate with it. So an example might be vascular access, and we do billions of it every year. And it's actually quite mind-boggling the way it's done today when you think about it. Because we have technology to replace these technical skills that we ask people to develop. But right now, a physician or a physician extender is looking at perhaps an ultrasound or some sort of imaging modality somewhere in the room. It could be in the corner somewhere. It could be in a small monitor. And then they have to read that. They have to look at the patient. And they're putting something in the body. And they have to kind of coordinate all that. They can't see where it's going. There's no way to see what you're putting into the body. So the next thing we're working on application is combining all of that, projecting the image that's being collected, that's looking in the body, right onto the skin. So it's as if you have a flashlight, and then whatever you're putting in the body turns into a laser pointer when you have the Centiar system. So you can just see where it's going. And then we'll give you some guidance things, are you far off, are you close, just make it so that...
Will it be using the Centiar headset?
It'll be using the Centiar headsets.
Right. So it's almost like a laser you see on the SWAT guns or a Navy SEAL team.
Exactly.
As you're aiming it, but I can also see in the X, Y, and Z axis where I'm off on my target.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly. So that's what happens. And then where you're targeting under the skin comes to the surface, if you will.
Got it.
Right? Because we pull it out of there. So again, context, right? Not just some random hole on an ultrasound screen. It's here, right? You give context.
So a vascular access, let's say it's that.
Right.
I'm taking away anything in its way, and it's almost like I'm seeing it right there.
Almost,
Got it.
exactly. That's the objective. And then that is an entry into several applications that require that sort of skill. You're putting something in the body, maybe you're collecting a sample. Maybe you're draining fluid. Maybe you're delivering drugs for pain, spine. So there's a lot of applications like that. And then, moving on from that, so we're not going to stop there. There's third, fourth, fifth in ENT, in oncology, in neuro. So there's a lot of applications where physicians are intervening from little holes through lots of instrumentation.
Yeah. So we've been 7 or 8 months now. We're in middle October. We've been through this pandemic. What sort of effect has that had on the company, number one? And number two, are you out raising money? And what does that look like if somebody's interested in contacting you on that?
Sure. So starting with the COVID situation, a lot of people, and there's no hiding it, I'm a young CEO, right? And I'm not ashamed of it. But it's quite interesting because I believed this always, and I certainly now know, not just believe. Team is what makes these things happen. You can have a brilliant idea, a brilliant technology, and then your team isn't up for what's going to come. And this experience allowed us to find out who we really are as a team. What are we made of? And just a quick example, in March, right as things were shutting down, we had just raised a little bit of money in January. So we had some runway, and we could have been, we could have felt comfortable, if you will, but we wanted to act from a position of strength, right? Lean into our strength at that time. And we were having a meeting with our several leaders in the company. And I had put together some models about how we extend our runway, because we don't know what's going to happen, right? This is
pre-COVID.
This is all kind of as it's happening.
As it's happening.
Nothing fully shut down yet.
Right. We didn't have the evidence we have today.
We didn't have the evidence we have today, definitely. And one of the models was the management, takes a 20% pay cut. Now, that's not just, one burger. That could be life-changing for some people. And I kid you not, it was like a 2-minute conversation. People looked at the numbers and they're like, well, that's obviously what we have to do.
Right. And salaries aren't really high in startups to begin with.
Definitely.
So let's put context. This is not a J&J
oh my goodness,
$600,000 a year salary. You're taking a
Right.
haircut to 480.
Right, no, no, my goodness. 600 is probably our whole staff. But still, right, still is real money that you're asking.
That's what I mean. It's really big.
It's exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Right? It's really big.
It's really big.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, what's that? I don't want to take it off that, is Chris Rock goes, when you're worth 10 million and you're getting a divorce and you're going to lose half of that, you're losing 5 million. But when you only have 100,000 in the bank and you're losing 50,000, somebody's going to die. Right?
Exactly. That's a very good way to put it.
That's Chris Rock. That's not me.
So the reaction from the team was, obviously, this is worth doing. We believe in our mission. We're going to make physicians more accurate. Patients are going to get treated more effectively. That's what we believe in our core, right? It just exudes off of people on that particular meeting. I will never forget that for the rest of my life. I know that. Because in that meeting, I was in basically tears, right? Because I was agonizing over how do we make this happen,
And
right?
like that, they all jumped in.
And it was like,
Right.
of course.
And your tears were joy after they said that, right?
I was just
Right.
like happy, but also
Proud.
Exactly. Wondering how did I fall in among these people, right? Like, what right do I have to lead them? That's just how fortunate am I? What an honor to be a leader of such a group of people.
Yeah.
So honestly, the COVID thing, going back to your question, we made some tough decisions, right? And there were days where we're still trying to get our FDA clearance because, we hadn't at that point.
And when did you get clearance? It just happened in the last...
Yeah, September 18th,
Yeah.
we
Okay, a
got
month
the
ago
letter.
almost, yeah.
Yes,
That's cool.
yes. Wow, what a day.
Yeah, I bet.
But it's fun. Again, it's an interesting concept because it's like you sprint at this target and you stop an inch away from it. And then you inch for the next 6 months. And then by the time you get there, you're always there.
Right.
For us, right?
Right.
We're already moved on, but still is a remarkable accomplishment. So, we made tough calls, but really for Centiar team, it's truly a galvanized team made of warriors. Everyone we have on the team is a thoroughbred, and with that, I'm even bolder now. Like with the vision that I see and what we see as a collective team, we've become bolder, if you can believe it.
No, I believe that. And so, are you looking for next round financing?
We are currently finalizing one that we've been in the process of for a very long time.
As
I am
everybody
not
is,
ashamed to say it. So we're trying to close around here on October 30th. We have oversubscribed with the good news that we received, so that's great. We're always talking to new investors as we look ahead because we'll have to raise more money, which will be a Series B round in the next year. But most certainly right now, we have a line of sight to some capital that we're going to bring in, some new partners that we're excited about.
Any corporate players? Don't give me specific.
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Not at the moment.
And are you pushing commercially right now as well?
Well, one of the things we're working on is some infrastructure on the commercial side. So we'll make some investments there
Nice.
to push it out. And we hope to have the system out available next year.
Nice.
So the first thing will be to work with some of our few select sites to continue to generate data. Because what we believe, a technology like this, where a lot of people view as hypey, you ask the question, right? Everybody does. Is this a cool tech or is this a real need? We have been very careful about playing out what it does clinically, what it does for the physicians and what it does for the patients, more so than its hype cool factor.
How about reimbursement? So that's always the talk, right? So,
Yes,
so
yes.
where does this fit into? This is the challenge with tech these days is we've got these unbelievable tech platforms coming out, yet the mindset of the reimbursement people is always retrospective, not prospective.
Yes.
And so how do you get paid?
Yes, so right now, our technology, what we studied clinically, has shown that it has promise to improve accuracy. And I'm choosing my words carefully because that's a longer term study that needs to be done. But we've shown in our limited patient experience 40-50% improvement over the standard of care, which is remarkable. And what we anticipate and what we're going to work with providers on, and we have been so far, hospital administrators, cath lab managers, et cetera, is this value is worth something to you.
So I can increase procedure rate,
You can
outcomes,
yes,
et cetera.
right.
Okay.
You can perhaps have more procedures. You can have better procedures, and the introductory cost for this platform is actually there's nothing as cheap, especially for providers that are making 1% margin. We fully understand that. But relatively speaking, we don't need that much money to make a margin because it's mainly a software product.
It's not bad. And so you've got a lot of action going on. We just saw Acutus, Vince Burgess and Scott Hunnekens took that public on the EP side of things.
Yeah.
Big. Stereotaxis. Does this fit into the surgical side of EP, which has got a relatively high promising growth rate in it? Do you see that intervention? Because you break up CRM either in a flat out implant, which is a commodity business these days, and then the surgical side, which continues with the demographic to be a pretty robust industry.
Yeah.
So you fit into that surgical side. How do you fit into these companies like Acutus or with Fischel, Stereotaxis? Do you fit into their ecosystem as a complementary?
Well, most definitely. So one of the things that we do, so let's take Acutus, for example. AcuMap generates beautiful maps and very quickly. So when an arrhythmia needs to be identified, so you got the maps, things are moving around, the electrical activities moving around. Being able to see that in 3D and being able to control what you're seeing is a much needed improvement for Acutus as well. And in fact, for their maps, since it's so rich, you might even get a bigger bang for your buck. You basically have an ultrasound map inside the heart. So anatomy is mapped really beautifully. So we see our technology as a fantastic complement to AcuMap, as well as all the mapping systems out there. But like I said, Acutus is unique, obviously, with the ultrasound piece. Stereotaxis is an interesting question. So we hear a lot about the ability for a physician to manipulate the interface, right? Because it's not necessarily intuitive, as intuitive, not the trademark steal from Intuitive Surgical. But, you're moving a mouse around. You're not just moving a catheter around. So there's some potential there. We hear from physicians a lot on this. Like, hey, can you guys go work with Stereotaxis? And I know David, he's a friend and wonderful guy.
Great guy.
David Deschler from Stereotaxis. We've talked several times before. We're trying to figure out what we would do. What does that solution look like?
Because that's what Centiar feels like to me, is certainly it can go into the cath lab, but it feels like it can enhance the experience so you get that compounding effect of an AcuMap. Or I've worked on the Stereotaxis mouse and played the game, and I was terrible at it, but I'm sure if I practiced at it, I'd be good.
Right.
But something tells me, having the Centiar headset on me, that would rapidly change adoption there for utilization.
We hear that a lot, right? We hear that a lot, but like it is with every story like this, we don't quite understand, like we, Centiar, we don't quite understand the problems that they have. And I think from their perspective, they can't quite visualize how we all fit together. But I see it. I think there's a blurry version of a vision there that we can put it all together.
Yeah, and as we close out, I think it's really interesting where Centiar sits today. And again, using Acutus or Stereotaxis is, we're going to have to realize that more and more the medtech industry is going to be a chorus of solutions coming along, where you're going to either have a software play, which really Centiar is, with somebody spent billions of dollars, Microsoft, on a headset, right? And then you're going to have an Acutus, fantastic tech on the mapping side. And then you're going to start to see more of these collaborations come in and create a compounding effect to the patient, i.e. through the physician or clinician. So I think it's just really canary in the coal mine on where we're going.
I think you summarized it really well. And the other piece of this is, it's not just people who are making technologies for the operating room, because you mentioned Microsoft. There's Magic Leap, still, in fact, we're here to hang out with them for a bit.
Nice.
So everyone out there is talking about these technologies that allows humans to almost become superhuman, right? Like Neuralink. When you talk about Elon Musk's Neuralink project, where does that go in healthcare, right? How does it, can you connect the physician to a machine that way? That's a good question. It's an interesting one.
Go read Yuval Harari, Homo Deus. Go read that book if you want to look at it. Go read Yuval Harari, Homo Deus, about superhumans using technology, right?
I love that.
Check it out. Yeah.
Yuval Harari. I'll have to do that.
Do it. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate it. Always great to catch up.
Likewise. Great to catch up. Thank you.
I'm Joe Mullings from 160 Studios in Delray Beach. Be well.